With that, Steve Keim, my friend, former NFL GM, 10 years in Arizona, 3 playoff appearances, draft Kyler Murray. So it's interesting. A head coach is hired. Usually there's an owner, and then there's the general manager. But if Bill gets hired, Steve, a GM would know it's not the best day for him, right? Like his power is going to be usurped. Do you think, like Washington, for instance, it's got a rich new owner, would a GM even have a say with Bill, or is this an owner move in your experience?
You know, I think, Colin, if Bill respected the GM, it could certainly work cohesively. I know he worked well with Nick Caserio, who is in Houston right now. But I think there's a number of conversations that need to happen. I mean, number one, I think Robert Kraft has to find out whether Bill Belichick wants to be back, whether he has the passion or not to lead the organization. And number two, what's the plan moving forward? Robert Kraft is the owner, and he is owed the right to know what is the plan moving forward. How are we going to fix these things? And number three, how are we going to hold you accountable as the general manager? You have made some poor decisions. The roster is not up to speed right now. And how are we going to fix this? And I think always to some degree, especially guys like Bill, I think they do respect good football men if there are variances of opinions, because to me, again, it sort of opens up eyes and is very, very healthy for an organization to have those variances of opinions.
Mike Vrabel fired. I was a bit shocked. Reads like a power struggle. Don't think he'll be unemployed long. What did you make of the dismissal of Mike Vrabel?
Yeah, I was shocked, Colin. I think Mike Vrabel is one of the better head coaches in the National Football League. Again, I know he's a defensive coordinator in terms of background, but his leadership of men, his ability to set a culture is second to none. And I think certainly he's going to be unemployed very, very shortly here.
We know it's an offensive league, Steve. The rule changes indicate that. It's like 11 or 12 of your playoff teams have offensive coaches. Would you be concerned a little about a Tomlin, a Vrabel, a Belichick, because they're on the side of the ball that increasingly has limitations?
Well, I certainly think that's a question, Colin, but I think the better question is who are you going to have as your offensive coordinator? Who is going to lead that quarterback room? Who is going to develop the player at the most important position in the National Football League? And I think that if you can address that position, and again, I know Bill has a guy like Bill O'Brien who has a tremendous amount of respect in the National Football League and who's had some success. So there are some good quarterback coaches and offensive coordinators out there who can certainly get the job done.
So Chicago has retained Matt Eberflus. They've moved off offensive people. It doesn't mean that Matt loves Justin Fields. And I said this earlier. Caleb Williams, with only one elite player in 2 years, Jordan Addison, led the nation in offense. They didn't really have a good offensive line this year. They didn't have a powerful run game. So even if your scouts, if I ran the Bears and my scout said, he's even with Justin Fields, I would say, okay, I'm going to draft him because I can restart the salary clock. And I don't think he's even with Justin Fields. If you ran the Bears, is it as obvious as I'm making it that you need to move Justin, get some draft capital, and draft Caleb? It feels obvious to me.
Yeah, Colin, I would certainly attempt to move Justin. I think he's a fine player. But to be able to trade him to somewhere like Atlanta or Washington, there's enough quarterback-needy teams that would certainly be in play for a guy like Justin Fields. The other fact of the matter is you have to determine whether you're going to pay a quarterback like Justin Fields, who, again, I think is a fine player, but he's not a special player. He's not a guy that you play $45, $50 million to. And then, quite frankly, from the cap standpoint, to be able to reset, like you said, and to draft Caleb Williams, again, I think it's sort of that mindset. Do you not draft Michael Jordan because Clyde Drexler is playing that position for your team? You take the special talent, the guy who can reset your organization, who can put you late years ahead. And that's, to me, the decision they have to make.
Russell Wilson situation. So Sean Payton says we haven't made a decision yet. My gut is they've made a decision. It's just not public. I said earlier is that the reason I'd move off him is a fairly simple one. That his production this year, 29 total touchdowns, 13 giveaways, is okay. But that's not going to rise dramatically. His contract is. So it's like a bad mortgage. I'm going to be paying a lot more, and the house is decreasing in value or staying the same. So again, that looks like an easy one, that his production, it wasn't terrible. It's a cost issue more than a production issue. That's what it feels like to me. What would you do if you're in Denver?
Yeah, listen, when you look at the decision for the Denver Broncos that they made to trade for Russell Wilson and to give him that big contract, I mean, supply and demand is the real issue here. There's not enough quarterbacks to go around the league. But now you're looking at an aging quarterback whose skills are somewhat deficient and is declining in his play. To me, does not warrant a $50 million contract anymore. And to me, this is the point in time where you have to cut the cord. You have to minimize your losses moving forward, and you now have to reset. To me, you look at Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, it looks like oil and water, in my opinion. It doesn't seem like his type of guy. And to me, as an organization, you got to cut your losses and move forward.
Jim Harbaugh seems like the obvious best coach. Jim is a disruptor. Jim's going to do it his way, but his teams are good, fast, and they're physical. If you were a GM, it may not be in your best interests to hire him, but don't you owe the owner the best coach? What do you do with Harbaugh if you're a GM?
Yeah, as a general manager, Colin, you owe the organization to do the right thing. And as much maintenance may come with a guy like Jim Harbaugh at times that he may be hard-headed or maybe hard to work with, the results speak for themselves. I mean, I think he was 44-19 with the 49ers. Not only does he have a great track record in the NFL, he's done it at every level, whether it's been San Diego, Stanford, obviously now at the University of Michigan. He has won everywhere he's been. And to me, as a general manager, if you're going to have some battles and you're going to have to, again, I think some of those conversations that are tough to have, Colin, are spirited, good conversations that are healthy for an organization instead of looked at as such a problem or that they're confrontations.
Yeah. All right, Steve Keim, great seeing you as always. I appreciate you stopping by, and we'll talk off air as well soon. Thank you, Steve.
Great to see you, Colin.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.